other way.
All right, that's good.
I love it. And now it is time to bring on Leroy Horde. And everyone who joins us is now brought to you by the Gridiron Guys hotline, looking for a local roofer you can trust. Family owned since 2003, the Gridiron Guys have grown to become Northeast Ohio's top-rated roofers. We exemplify quality work practices and are a valued resource for homeowners and offer a 10-year workmanship warranty. Call 330-573-7967 today for a free estimate on roof inspections. Leroy, what's up, my man? How you doing today?
What's happening?
Leroy,
what's going on?
Speaking of gridiron guys, here's a gridiron guy, right? Leroy, could you still get on the gridiron right now? What do you think?
Let me put it this way. Hell no.
You telling me you don't got that? You don't got the burning desire? You be watching the games on Sunday and be like, man,
you know
I could get out there at least for one snap.
How about this? You know how I retired? I was in Minnesota. They offered me another contract. Same contract I had. No contract problems whatsoever. I just didn't show up.
Leroy was done. Leroy.
And I didn't determine I was done. My body told me we was done.
I understand what you talk about because you know the signal. When it's time to walk, it's time to walk. And I
haven't gotten that signal yet.
I was like, let me see. Do I stay around another year and collect some checks? Or do I want to walk when I'm 60? I think I want to walk when I'm 60. I'm out of here. Left that money on the table.
It wasn't even that. When it got to, critical time in the summer where you need to start getting moving, right?
Yeah.
And get your mind and your body right for camp.
Tank on E.
I was still limping.
Right. Yeah.
You should. You know what
I'm
you should.
Oh no.
No.
Leroy, you should do what all the vets do now. They don't sign until after camp is over.
I thought about that, and they told me, hey, you just want an extra couple of weeks.
Wow.
I said, nope. I know my body. We weren't going to be right till about January.
Did they offer you a private masseuse?
Oh, Lord.
No.
Leroy,
not one that I'm going to tell you. Private mean private.
Leroy, I do got to ask you a question. See, because I want to give some people some context. There's a lot of people that are in layman's terms, they always talk about, oh, I could do that. My grandmother could do that, or this ain't that bad. Can you educate the audience, our listeners, on what two-a-days was like back then when you played? Because nowadays it ain't two-a-days. That's
like half a day.
This is daycare. What was that like? What was your schedule like in terms of how two-a-days was going?
First of all, I'm going to throw out my rookie year because I had guys on the team that smoked cigarettes.
Yeah, right.
So that don't count.
Yeah, so do I.
And that was old school with who do we have? Bud Grant.
Wow.
Right? That team. So we was 3-13 that year, and so I'm not gonna count that year. But Bill took over.
Oh man.
And first of all, what you don't realize is every time you have a new coach, you have an extra mini camp, and you start camp a week early. I mean a week early.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you got an extra week. And we went two-a-days, I want to say, for 7 straight days. And it wasn't, I'm talking about suited and booted. Mouthpiece, helmet tight. Look, before every practice, I'm checking to make sure my helmet tight. Shoulder pads, underpads, elbow pads, gloves, everything. Dog works. I was game day for 2-a-days for 7 straight days. Till it got to the point where we were just so tired. He said, you guys take the evening off.
Just the evening, huh?
Just the evening.
The evening. Now, there's a rule now that if you have a game on Saturday, you get Sunday off. Right? But Bill timed it up to 24 hours. So if the game started at like 6, we had to report at 6 o'clock on Sunday.
That's crazy.
I remember one preseason game we played on Saturday. And Friday, we had a walkthrough in the morning.
Okay.
And we was like, cool. And then we did shoulder pads and helmets in the evening. and he said, guys, it's a preseason game. You're going to hardly play it. Technically, it's like a day off. So,
I mean,
for the first 2 years of Bill Belichick, I look forward to the preseason games because it meant I got 3.5 quarters of break.
Man.
How did y'all do those seasons?
Well, and here's the kicker. The first year, everybody hated him. But what it did was it weeded out the hangers-on. Right?
Yeah.
The guys that just wanted to get that check. Mm-hmm. The older guys. It weeded them out. We had, within the first week of camp, we had like 6 guys just retire. Like, it was so exhausting. They say, I don't care about your money.
I'm done.
But then as it got on and we start realizing that, we are doing something and we're getting to a place and we earning his trust, then the end of the second year and the third year, he would actually come to us and ask us how we feel. And the guys that he trusted, he went by that. But I'm going to tell you, camp was no joke. I used to tell my friends, they say, oh man, you make all that money and you do that. I say, I tell you what, if you can make it through camp, I'll give you my game check. Right? Man. I'll give you a game check because that's not even counting. Bill Belichick had a conditioning test. You had to run 5 gassers, right? That's back and forth. I think my time was 30 seconds or 28 seconds or something like that with a minute rest. And if you didn't pass it, you had to do it every morning at 6 till you passed it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you like this. If you ain't pass it, it wasn't that big of a deal. He didn't know this because at 6 o'clock, it's dark as hell in that indoor facility, and I'll be hitting the hash mark and coming back. Hey, the strength and conditioning coach will say, I don't know how you get in such good shape overnight. Because I only got to run I'm running 40 yards back and forth, but he can't see me.
Oh my God.
I was in stealth mode. I was in that indoor facility like a cat burglar. Like you couldn't see nothing. All you could see was like just a black dot going back. You could tell where the other side of that field was. But he worked us hard during camp. And those rules didn't change until a few years ago.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
so when you made it through camp,
If
you made it through camp, and then keep in mind, another thing people don't realize is you played 4 preseason games.
Yeah.
And the crescendo was the last preseason game when you played into the 3rd and 4th quarter.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't like now, the last preseason game, nobody played.
Yeah.
So by the time the season started, I remember one. How about this? Y'all remember Buddy Ryan?
Yes.
Of course.
And he was famous for that raggedy 46 defense, 10 men in the box, everybody covered up, right? The week before the regular season, we practiced against them in Arizona.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So we went 2-a-days for 2 days, then practice on our own, then played them in the last preseason game, and then the regular season started. We was all looking at each other like, man, what y'all feeling like? So I ain't feeling like nothing. I'm just numb. And the season about to start. So from that standpoint,
It's different.
it was
different.
brutal. So
Thank
you
God.
guys, the guys that got it going on now,
They
huh?
outlawed that.
Leroy, how do you feel about how do you feel about Belichick now, looking back through all this?
Well, look.
What are your feelings on him now?
Nobody ever thought, as we got as like the 3rd and 4th year, we liked where we were headed. And sometimes I tell people this all the time. If you've been losing and you feel uncomfortable with the change, that's good. Because what you've been doing ain't work.
Great point.
So you got to try something different. So You ever notice a lot of times a team will come in with a guy who's a player coach, and then they'll come in with a hard ass the next year. They're trying to change it up. They're trying to give you a different view of what you have to do and how you have to do it. And so from that standpoint, if we were all about winning, we realized that what we had done up until this point wasn't good enough, and we had to do something different. So, and when we got to that third and fourth year, that fourth year we were going. We were moving. We were real good. We couldn't get past Pittsburgh, but we built something. And then the following year, we started off like 4-1 or 4-2, top of the division. Then, for reasons I can't explain, they decided to announce we was leaving in the middle of the season. Right? So that chaos went on. And then after the season, they fired the coach. It wasn't his fault. So when people say, you know, when they talk about Bill Belichick, look at where that thing was going. And every time I see it now, I said, you know, minus Tom Brady, right? We were building the same thing. Look, our defense was unbelievable. The coaching staff was phenomenal. I think 6 or 7 of the coaches on that staff ended up being either front office guys or head coaches.
Yep.
Yeah.
Think about this. You know who Scott Pioli and Eric Mangini were? They were the guys holding up the cards and getting yelled at by Belichick to go do stuff.
They
ended up being front office guys and respected guys in the NFL.
Was Saban on that team?
We had Nick Saban was the defensive coordinator, right? We had Al Groh, who ended up coaching. Wait, my offensive line coach was the head coach at Kurt Ferenz.
Yep.
Right?
I was
keep going. Yeah. So everybody got so caught up in Bill's personality, right? And I used to tell people all the time, if you want a comedian, go to a comedy club. If you want a good coach, rate him on his results and not how he interacts with everybody. Because he's like, Bill's not the most, how can I put it? He's awkward around people.
Right.
Yeah.
But not in his element, which is a football coach. And if you know Bill, you know that. And how he does things. And as the years have gone on and he start winning, we yuck it up. We laugh at him like Popovich. But here, he wasn't doing that kind of winning, so it was annoying. And people didn't like him for it. But if you look at what he did and where the team was headed before that, there was nothing that he wasn't doing to get us to where we needed to go.
Leroy,
so
what do you, we just got done talking about, you know, the top of the food chain, all those coaches that were there with the Browns before. What's your opinion on Kevin Stefanski? Is it Jekyll and Hyde? Is he really the coach of the year? You still think he's that guy? Or is he more towards he's running-the-mill, middle-road guy? What's your thoughts on Kevin Stefanski? Obviously, you've been seeing some of the best.
First of all, I'll tell you this. I don't care how great a coach you are. You can't win without players.
Groceries.
Now, the Browns have the players. So I'm not going to even act like they need to add some pieces or whatever. They got the players, both offensively and defensively. He doesn't handle the defensive side of the ball. We don't know if maybe he felt hamstrung by Baker Mayfield. That's the indication that everybody is given. But we don't know that yet because he hasn't had a different quarterback. But any job that you get that is a move up, I don't understand why we don't understand there's a learning curve there. Like, we take these offensive coordinators, make them head coaches, and then give them, you know, so much more responsibility. And then after a year or two say, he's a terrible coach. He learned it too. Now, I would expect coaches like that to be more understanding of young players. And the only thing that bothers me with new coaches is how dismissive they are of young players. And I have that situation down here with Brian Flores and Tua. Right? For some reason, him and Tua didn't click. and he wanted to play Fitzpatrick. And I've always been amazed that, wait a minute, you a first-time coach too. You got to learn some stuff. You want us to be patient with you, yet you're not patient with none of your players. How does that play in the locker room? So I've always been about, here's what I look at when I look at Stefanski. I don't look at necessarily what he does from game to game, but how he grows from game to game. Is he making the same mistakes? If he has a bad game or time management or timeouts, does he improve on that? If he's calling plays and he gets into a situation where, say it's 4-minute offense at the end of the game and it's 3rd and 3, do you still throw the ball, or do you understand that you got one of the best defenses in the league? You just run it with Nick Chubb, who's one of the best in the league, and then let the clock run out and give you some more seconds off the clock. These are all things that, as a new head coach, you have to learn how to manage. The funny thing about sports is those situations don't present themselves right away.
So Leroy, do you see the growth, or do you see the growth in him, or give me a grade? Just give me a letter grade on Stefanski, because you've seen enough work of him.
I would say I'm not going to include last year, right? Simply because what you had at quarterback wasn't anything that you've had before then. So you play with a banged up quarterback, and that hurt you a lot, and that limited what you could do. I would say a B. And here's why. And for people that don't understand what Cleveland is and what Cleveland has been and where Cleveland is now. Okay? You beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs. If not for a fumble in the end zone, you would have beat Kansas City, because they had to come in with a backup quarterback in Chad Henne. Okay, so you've had you all you want from your coach is to be there, right? Everybody makes these demands on winning, but if you're consistently there, you will get your opportunity. And so the only reason why I give him a B is because, he's only won one playoff game. That being said, I also understand it's been a minute. Let's not act like, oh no, we've always been there and we just need a coach to get us over the hump. No, this is a process for everybody, including him.
Okay.
Now here's what's gonna suck. We don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson, right? If Deshaun Watson is out for the year and Stefanski has Jacoby Brissett and they don't have a good year, does that mean Kevin Stefanski's no good? You see what I'm saying?
I wouldn't put that on. I wouldn't put that on Kevin Stefanski.
But that's what. No. Here, you wouldn't. But guess what? I didn't put any of the losing that we had before the team moved on Bill Belichick, but the team still fired him.
Well, hold on, Leroy.
Technically, the Ravens fired him. Don't get worked up about
Leroy,
that.
to your point.
No, he was fired before. He was fired before we got to Baltimore.
Leroy, I'll say this to that, right? Because I've been around for a minute, right? I look at the groceries that are in the cabinets, right? They've got a lot of groceries here, right? Mm-hmm. So you should be able to win with the groceries you have here. I'll take your own alma mater. When they let go of Bill Frieder and put Fisher in at the head of Michigan basketball, what did he do with Ramil? What did he do with Ramil and them? Right. Same groceries.
You're right.
Right. So at some point, it's accountable to the person at the helm, right? Now, if he had nothing here, then you can say that. But he has legitimate game-making, play-making players here. Right.
Okay, so
I used to get frustrated when they'd be 4th and 1, and he always went, "What are you doing? I got this defense on the other side. Just get rid of the ball."
No, I disagree with that.
I
go for a
I'm I have to see what the odds are.
So let me ask you this. So let me ask you this though: have they not, since Stefanski taken over minus last year, competed for a championship? Like, they got a tough break. 1 year, okay? in the other year, he was a young coach too. If you look at the growth of the team, each year they have gotten better. And in fact, a lot of people thought they would be contending for a Super Bowl last year. Unfortunately, they lost their starting quarterback. This ain't the Rams. You don't have Kurt Warner sitting behind him.
Hold on, I got something for you. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
If the Browns don't have, if Deshaun Watson is suspended for a whole year and the Browns don't at least have a better record than they did last year, Stefanski's a problem. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he just had a whole season with an injured quarterback and still was trying to make things happen. So he's got experience. If the quarterback isn't good, he has a whole year of film to look at of still to make it work. So he should know if you're saying that a coach should be judged off of does he get better every year, then this year the quarterback play should have nothing to do with it. If he should still have a way to find a way to get wins.
You're right to a certain extent.
And but if unless Jacoby turning the ball over, then that's another story.
Hey, there's only a handful of reasons why a quarterback is and that's one of them, right? But I will say this: you're right to a certain extent, and that is from the standpoint of should he be better with a healthy quarterback with what he has and the weapons he has around that quarterback? Yes. Okay. But it will get to a point if you don't have the quarterback play, when it will cost you. And if you're going to evaluate him, you have to evaluate him on that point, right? That if he, works everything to get to a certain place, and that is the ceiling with this quarterback, you have to acknowledge that. Look, maybe they get into the playoffs, right? Maybe, they compete or get through the first round. We don't know. But you are right in that if he has a healthy quarterback, the team should be better than it was with an injured quarterback.
Speaking of
so yes, you can, but at some point, that quarterback at the end of the year is going to have to make a couple of plays to win games because you're not going to be able to hang your hat on just the running game because guess what? When teams are only game planning for you and they see that all you have is Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, guess what it's going to look like? It's going to look like 22 guys within a 5-yard radius.
That's when that 46 defense going to come back.
Yo, yeah.
So let me ask you this, Leroy. I posed the thought, and you tell me what you think. All right, Baker has these rumors going to the Seahawks. I think personally he should go to Tampa Bay and sit behind Tom Brady for a year where he'll learn how to mature, be an adult, become a pro. Tom Brady has 1, maybe 2 years at best because he got $375 million waiting on him, so he ain't tripping no more. Don't you think that would be a better situation for him than just jumping into Seattle?
Here's the problem, though, and you know this better than anybody. What kills a coaching career? What kills a player career? Ego.
Exactly.
Right? And at some point, you have to sit back, evaluate your situation, and think, what is best for me in the long term? And maybe you got to eat it for a year or two.
Okay.
Maybe you got to eat it, but it happens with all of us.
Mm-hmm. Leroy, what if the first thing you've done, what you've been doing, isn't working? Don't you need to stop, switch it, and switch it up a little bit and go to something? Because they say doing the same thing and expecting a different result is insanity. So him sitting there for a year and learning a new game plan and learning how to be a different quarterback, when you think that would be the best thing for his career?
Sure, we do. We think that,
but he doesn't.
But we not him.
Yeah,
it's so much easier for people to figure out what another person needs until that person acknowledges that and make the necessary steps. it's going on deaf ears.
That's right.
So we like to think we know what's best for Baker. Baker probably has an idea of what he thinks is best for Baker. Now he needs somebody, a confidant or agent, somebody close to him that he's listened to throughout his career.
He need me, Leroy.
To let him know.
He need me. Listen, he watches the show. Baker, if you're watching this show, listen to me. Go to Tampa Bay.
It's good advice.
Here's the problem, though. Everybody need a quarterback. There's a bunch of teams that need a quarterback. So if you a starting quarterback and have been a starting quarterback and you want to get back to where you think you belong, you're going to pick the starting job over a backup role.
Right. But this is the thing, Leroy.
It's been 4 months.
If it doesn't pan out, he will cost. He'll be a backup for the rest of his career.
Well, here's the thing, and I think
but that means but he got an opportunity.
He can do that. He can do that. He can do the same thing in Tampa Bay. They're gonna give him the opportunity to be the starter.
But you talking logic. He ain't ready for logic yet. He's not ready for logic yet.
Y'all ain't giving him enough credit.
No. What we're giving him, what Leroy is talking about is we've been there. We have hit this role. We know exactly what to do now. But at 26, you're not going to know that role. When I told Chicago I was ready to leave Tyvis, you know who tried to talk me out of it? Jordan tried to talk me out of it. I was like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm leaving.
Dang.
And he was right.
You know, Leroy, I think one of the things that I believe is when you look at quarterbacks, they're different. There's a reason why kickers and quarterbacks are in their own locker room. They over here. They make different money. They think about different things. I literally think that the second you decide in your mind that I'm a backup, your career is over. From a standpoint of
you're accepting. Right. You're accepting it.
And you accept it, and if you're going to accept that, you can't go out. It's hard. Have you ever seen somebody accept being a backup and then get a starting role somewhere else?
Yeah.
Jameis, we just talked about it.
But
Matt Flynn did.
But that wasn't that.
He's playing a long route. I got you.
Everybody made it sound like Jameis did that, being a good dude.
He had no choice,
and
right?
Listen,
recognizing what his career choices were.
Leroy.
And he had choices, and he chose to be a back. No.
Leroy.
That was one of his only options.
Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett both sat behind Tom Brady, and both ended up becoming starters, and actually was all right.
Hey,
I'm just saying.
What? No. Jacoby Brissett, we will see.
He was decent in
The test is there. The test is there, right? While you talk about what Baker should do, you got a perfect example right here.
Yeah. Leroy, we got to wrap it up with this. I am very distressed by the fact that nobody names their kid Leroy anymore. What is happening here?
Well, hold on. Let me explain something to
Yeah.
you. In New Orleans, there's more white guys named Leroy than black guys.
Young people,
It's a Southern thing.
Young people?
I don't know. And my parents weren't creative. I'm a junior.
Yeah, but I'm not from the South. I grew up in New York, and when I went to high school, I knew black Leroys, I knew white Leroys. There were all kinds of Leroys. Now nobody names their kid Leroy
When
anymore.
I think of Leroy, I think of the Last Dragon movie.
Bruce Leroy.
There you go. Yeah.
We could do a whole top 5 on outdated names.
We'll do a top 5 of the best Leroys
Ezra,
next week.
Rose,
Leroy Neiman.
The Jetsons.
All
One
my
of the
grandmother's
greatest
friends. All my
artists.
grandmother's friends. There was Pauline, Max, Oscar.
Oscar's done too.
Oscar's done.
There was Uncle Leroy.
Earl,
My own uncle.
All right, Leroy, great stuff as always, man. We appreciate you taking the time. Thanks, buddy.
All righty.
All
Great
right, man.
Leroy. Leroy Horde.